Hi everybody, my name is Finn. This is my channel, FionnsWindow. Welcome. If you've never been here before, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Man, have I been guided to do a reading today. I've been feeling guided for a while and recorded a couple that I didn't put up because I was moving through my own process of fear of being seen, and I feel this is something a lot of us are moving through right now. I'm recording this today on the 11th of February 2025. Tomorrow is the full moon in Leo, and the themes of this full moon are very much related to being seen, coming out of hiding, being fearless, the lion energy of Leo. And I believe this is forming a square to Uranus, which is sudden changes, shocks, surprises. And I'm pretty surprised to be doing this at this point, so I get it. It is a challenging time to be a human right now, but those of us who are here in the collective I'm reading for right now, I can feel absolutely chose to be here. I believe we all chose to be here, but anyone who's guided to this reading, you chose to be here because you have work you chose to do right now. And now is the perfect time. So I've pulled cards already. I've pulled the oracle cards, although I've now put most of them back into a deck together, which I'm going to pull one at a time. But I asked for the overarching energy of the reading, and I got this card from the deck, Close to Home, and it says a chessboard. All of these cards say, in a place close to home there was, and then there are some words, in this case, a chessboard, and the message is make your move. And that's very much the energy that I'm getting, is it is time. A lot of us have been in a deep period of introspection and isolation as we have been clearing stuff from our own channels, our own energy bodies, our karmic lineages, in our family lines, in our soul lineage, in our soul families, and in the collective. And this is the year 2025 when massive change is occurring in the world. And there are some of us who came here specifically to assist this change. And if you're one of these people, if you're watching this reading, you're one of those people. So it's time, baby. So the two cards that came out either side were a gentle bear, which says remember kindness, and a compass, which says let your intuition guide you. And I've already pulled the oracle cards, and I can tell you that this theme is coming up a lot, as is this. Kindness is a really important part of the work. I wouldn't be where I am if I hadn't been kind to myself, because there's no way to do shadow work with shame. In fact, when I saw the word a compass, I was thinking of compasses, most of the word compassion, and it's compass. Compassion is a guide, it is a way to operate, to be a perspective from which to navigate life and our work. And without that, when we do shadow work, if we go in with the frequency of shame rather than compassion, of judgment rather than compassion, we find things, or we drag things out of us that then become more filled with shame and run straight back into the shadow, further energized with the negative polarity, and they come out bigger, stronger, uglier later, in ways that we're even more ashamed of. So, speaking from personal experience, witnessing ourselves with compassion is an incredibly important part of the journey, and I feel like this is a big message of a reminder. Like, all my readings are confirmation. I was saying this to a friend yesterday. It's like extra voices in the choir. I'm not singing songs you haven't heard before, but I'm singing them along with you so that you may feel your frequency being amplified, because there are definitely voices that are singing conflicting and dissonant songs into the collective, and yeah, we need to come together, and we are coming together, and now is the perfect time for that. So first up we have, how perfect, from the Celtic Spirit Oracle deck, the Fawn card, which is beginnings, willingness, and opportunities. And I feel very much that the willingness is the thing that is the most prevalent energy right now. It feels like so many of us have now reached the point where we are willing to be seen, we're willing to show up, we're willing to do. Now, there are plenty of people who've been doing it before, and we've all been doing the work, but I'm talking about this being seen this being witnessed, this being visible to others doing what we're doing. And as I say, I'm reading to a collective who are at this stage because this is where I am and this is what I can speak to. There are people who've been doing this a lot longer than me, and they're speaking to collectives who are also, you know, much further out and more established in being seen. But for you, if you are like me, you're in this space right now, and it's a scary place to be, so we need friends. Trader, exchange energy to create abundance. This is a really important time to be sharing our energy, because as we do, we are magnifying and multiplying that energy. And something I was realizing yesterday as I was doing some of my own work was that I have been shamed in my life for having taken and received energy by people who didn't share. They would give in codependent ways, like if I give to you, you'll give to me. But it was not true abundance, because it was a closed loop, like a CCTV, a closed circuit. And it was when I was receiving from outside of that closed circuit that I would be shamed for receiving too much, because they would say, well, you're taking from me and then you're taking from these other people and you just don't deserve that much. But when I receive, I share. I always wanted to share. I'd been excluded. I knew what it was like. I have a long soul lineage of exclusion and exile, and I've been healing that wound, and I have always wanted to share, because as we share, we multiply. When I receive and I share, then I receive more, then I share more. That is abundance. Abundance isn't receiving lots and storing it. That's scarcity, which is the frequency that is the polarity to abundance. And there are two sides to scarcity. There is lack and there is greed, but they are both coming from a belief that there isn't enough. Abundance is the understanding that everything we need exists. It flows towards us. It exists within us, and it flows towards us. And that belief allows us to receive everything that we need and to share everything that we can. And more comes in, because that's how it works. The she, ancient knowledge, help, dimensional. I have never felt more supported by the unseen than I do right now. And they are here, and they are asking us to receive from them, because we have chosen to be here right now to do that. Those of us who have incarnated in physical form right now on Earth are only a small part of the forces at work in the ascension of humanity and the Earth out of darkness and into light right now. And these forces are asking us, especially those of us who are aware of them, to tap in more to their help, to accept it, to accept that they're there. And trust me, if you're coming from a similar place to me, where you as a youngster had a deep connection to the unseen and then learned to be afraid of it because it scared the shit out of the adults around you, and then you learn to be ashamed of that, and then once fear gets into that frequency, but you're a seer, you're able to perceive other realms, other dimensions, even just in your dreams, you can end up in realms that scare the hell out of you, because that's what the frequency that they operate is fear. So it is very important that as we are reopening ourselves to gifts and deepening our gifts, that we continue to come back to the frequency of love. I've been saying 144 constantly lately, the 144,000, which to me is a frequency, is the frequency of unconditional love, the frequency of the fifth dimension that we are ascending to. And from that frequency, there is no scarcity, there is no lack, there's nothing to be afraid of. We can hold fear within that frequency until it dissolves. But if we are in the fear frequency, we can't hold anything, because that frequency doesn't have the capacity, it isn't large enough, it literally doesn't vibrate high enough for other energies to be able to exist within it. So for those of you who are feeling like you have gifts that you haven't yet delved into, trust that if they are coming online, or if they're feeling like they are coming up right now, it is time. Trust what you already know, the sources of support that you already have, your higher self, your soul team, the ancestors who are qualified and invested in the highest good of all. That isn't necessarily all ancestors, but those who are, and any teachers that you have that you do feel that you can trust. But I would say be aware when you feel any resistance to a teacher, sit with that and be sure through the sitting with it, whether or not that's coming from something in you that needs to be witnessed, or whether it's something in you that is actually guiding you that teacher is not for you. Some teachers are with us for a season. They teach us what they teach, and then we move on. From one perspective, everyone and every experience is a teacher. But if you're looking for a guide to specific gifts, like if you have mediumship abilities coming online, seek a mediumship circle or a mediumship teacher. because having those, and that could be online, it doesn't have to be in person, but having those spaces where you can share your experiences and get perspective, especially when they're scary, it's necessary really to have that, because without that we can end up just being lost in our own fear frequency, and that keeps us further disconnected from what we're capable of. And you're capable of anything. The Believe card. This is a time of belief, of faith, and the deeper we surrender into belief and trust, the more we understand that that sense of seeking security outside of ourselves and trying to control the world around us to create that security was never going to lead to what we were aiming for. But what actually creates a sense of security internally is trust. Trust in ourselves, trust in our soul calling, trust in our soul team, and trust that we are being guided by unseen forces to exactly where we are meant to be going, because that is why we came here, and we are being supported to do that right now. Speaking of which, Lady Nada from the Keepers of the Light, the name completely escaped me there, 1111. Heart Awakening. Awaken to acceptance and divine love, give and receive in balance. Now this is why I feel like the 144,000 frequency is so important, because I get reminders of it daily at this point. Usually when I walk into my living room, my thermostat is reading 14.4 degrees. And I instantly get this hit of start in love, start in love, start your day in love. If you wake up and you were in the dream space and weird shit was happening, trauma was coming up, old patterns, you were visiting other dimensions where you were feeling some kind of fear, get back into the heart center first before you do anything else. Because when we're moving from any other frequency, we're perpetuating that frequency. When we're in a frequency, we're broadcasting it. So once we get our frequency back up to 144,000 and we're centered top to bottom, left to right, right here in the middle, and we're broadcasting from here, that is a balanced, harmonious frequency of pure white light. And as we do that, we are broadcasting that to the world around us. We are magnetizing towards us that which manifests at the same frequency, and also we are able to transmute things that don't. And some things will come towards us that don't resonate at that frequency, specifically because we're able to hold that. And it is the muscle that we are learning to build, and I have been building a lot lately, is the ability to stay with whatever happens and maintain the perspective from here as we observe whatever it is. If we get pulled into duality or polarity while we're observing some experience, we then feed that polarity. But if we can stay in the heart space, or get back here as quickly as possible, or focus on getting back here before we do anything else, that completely changes the way we move through the world and the way that we are creating the world around us, because we are all creating the world around us every single moment, all the time. Anticipation. I don't know about you, but I have been feeling a certain anticipation about the energies of 2025 in general. This full moon, I've been feeling coming. Just this sense that after all this time of being, this crow is off by itself, away from the seating area where there isn't even anybody sat. It's alone, so to speak. I don't mean disconnected, I just mean it's in a solo sort of energy right now. And this was something that was really necessary, as I say, to finish the work that we had to do before we would get to the point of stepping out. Now, I don't mean our work is finished. I am fully aware that as soon as I step into a space of holding space or delivering messages to others, I get more work for myself. Like, it's never done. I'm not a cooked goose, as Ramdas put it, or it was a finished goose. But I recognized that I needed to do a certain amount of my work solo before I could step into holding space for other people, because I wasn't, or I would step in and out. I spent more time in by myself than out, because I wasn't finished doing enough of the clearing I had to do. And every time I held space for other people, they just gave me more homework. So I would go and do the homework, and sometimes it took months. And over Christmas and the New Year, I have spent a couple of months just in my own energy doing my own work. But this sense of anticipation has been building, and I suspect you're feeling similarly. If you haven't already stepped out, you're feeling the pressure to do that. So just to confirm that, yes, now is the time. Immerse yourself. This is from the Healing Waters Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. Training, learning new hobbies and passions. And passions in particular is coming up a lot. Actually, one of the last cards at the bottom of the deck from that other deck that came out that I felt was relevant was Red Shoes, Run Towards Your Passions. And I really feel this time of passion being our guide. I actually learned this weekend, I had a blockage around feeling excited. I had an experience of being offered an opportunity to do something and I was really excited by it. And very quickly I hit the point of being terrified. And I had to go and lie down and lie with the energy of just, I am so afraid right now. And as I sat with it, I realised I have become afraid of my excitement because I have in the past followed my excitement and it has led to absolute disaster, or so I felt. And I had to allow myself to feel excited and then feel the fear that came with that and breathe through the fear. I had a friend that once said to me that fear is excitement without the breath. So I did breath work for about 45 minutes. It took a long time for the fear to pass. But as it did, I realised it's because at times in the past I had learned, as a young person, and I'm a projector in human design, so I have a defined root, so I'm an energy projector, but I have an inconsistent source of energy. And I would get the urge to do things, and I would get excited, and I would run off and do them, and then I would get to the point where I'd run out of energy. But I was in this paradigm where once you've said you're going to do something, and once you've started doing something, you're going to be judged if you stop, or you're going to be harmed if you stop, especially when it came to things like work. And I would force myself to keep going, and then I would burn out. And I realised I was afraid of my excitement because my body is used to me pushing past that. I ended up with chronic illness for years, chronic fatigue and chronic pain. And I was watching my body have the fear of me reactivating that. So I had to stay with that and I had to process what came through and allow myself to just keep coming back to the trust of, okay, but I have built a relationship with my body now where I listen. And I'm going to allow myself to keep listening, but I'm also going to allow room for myself to make mistakes and continue to learn from that. Like, it's moving beyond the duality of all or nothing thinking. It's either I absolutely do this or I absolutely don't do this. We're learning to find the harmony, the balance between that. Like, one of the Hermetic principles is vibration. Everything moves, everything changes. And allowing that to be the case and not becoming terrified of one or the other and therefore cutting something off entirely is a really important part of learning to live in balance, and balance is the key to all things. Moon. Take note of intuitive messages. And this moon particularly is going to lead to a lot of intuitive downloads. We also had the Sun Moon Kazemi on Sunday, which was a point of intense clarity, and it was the night before that I got that clarity about my own excitement and terror and how they were linked. And often, especially energy intuitives, we can feel energies coming. I always feel astrological transits before they arrive. And in fact, that was why I learned to trust astrology, because I was feeling energies and then I would find out there were astrological correspondences that made sense of what I was feeling. So this moon, I feel, is going to be quite significant. And if you are not already aware, or if you are, you can check your chart and you can check the astrology and see what areas of your chart it's hitting, what houses, what themes might come up. And just allow yourself to be aware of the themes without trying to predict in advance. And then just as things unfold, you can just start to get things sort of slotting into place. Often I look back afterwards and realise, okay, that's what that was doing for me. And for me, astrology isn't about predicting the future, it's about getting a weather report. And knowing what weather we're dealing with means that when we are outside and we get caught in a rainstorm, we're like, oh yeah, this is why I brought the rain jacket, rather than, oh God, it's raining and I don't have anything to protect myself. So it is a useful tool, but it is not another master to be ruled by. And actually the tarot, I've shuffled, I haven't pulled any cards yet, but one flipped and it was the devil in reverse. And I really feel like this is the energy of us moving beyond external authority. We are tuning into our internal authority and releasing the chains of bondage that we have had throughout the history of humanity to being ruled by external forces. And that includes things like astrology. We can become just as attached to a construct, to a paradigm, to a modality as something that rules us, as we can to a person or to a political system or to a king or leader or guru or whatever else. And everything in the future, everything in the 5D is about soul sovereignty, the self being our guide, and that is more important than ever right now. The Miriam, sacred vision. Choose to forgive in order to heal. See the light in all. Remember that love has no boundaries. While we're talking about balance, this is two sides of the same energy, the Miriam. In fact, I feel like I want to read this one from the deck. is interesting because I haven't so far, but I knew I wouldn't read them all because there are quite a few. Okay. The Miriam, which means the beloved, are twin flame angels who come as one. They are mirror images of each other. They are the angels who appeared to Mary Magdalene in the tomb of Jesus after his passing. These angels spoke directly to Mary and helped her move beyond her grief so that she was able to commune with Jesus once more. I feel like I want to mention right now that I'm listening to an audiobook called The Madonna Secret, which is about Mary Magdalene and her story and her perspective of her life with Yeshua, Jesus. And it's very illuminating if you're not already aware of Gnostic Christianity and other belief systems that tell the story of Jesus' life and what he was here to teach. It's very, very helpful to get extra perspectives, because if you, like I was, were raised in any kind of Christian culture, first off we can be indoctrinated by it, and then as we awaken to the distortions within it, we can pull away from it entirely. And there was absolutely valuable teaching here. Like, Jesus is an ascended master. He was showing a pathway to ascension, and when he said I am the way, the truth and the life, he was saying I am the I am presence, not me, the human person, Jesus. Or he wasn't saying he was a god either. And I highly recommend that book. Well, I haven't finished it, but I've got about 16 hours into the 19 or whatever that it is, and it's amazing. The Miriam can help us move beyond the cloud of grief too. They heal grievances of all kinds, including ones that have been created by religion, or the idea that God does not love or accept us because of a mistake we once made. And that's what I'm talking about with the distortion with Christianity that became more mainstream. The Miriam help us remember that we don't need to ask God for forgiveness because he, inverted commas, never condemned us in the first place. There is a real opportunity for you to move beyond grief or grievance at this time. The Miriam are here, swirling their holy light all around you so that you can regain a sense of union with Spirit. You are loved beyond words. Choose to see the light of God in everyone and everything, and to love without boundaries. That's the 144,000 frequency I'm talking about. Honour others and honour yourself with your sacred vision. You are in a space of deep healing and forgiveness. Choosing to see the light of the world will help you grow even more. Feel a lot of love from that card. Oh, it's 222 as I said that. For some reason I want to pull from the back of the pile that I have created, the Gatekeeper Power and Abundance. I was watching a video earlier today from Line of Light. She's on YouTube, based in Australia, and she was saying that, just because I'm seeing these gold coins coming out from this dragon, we're having huge energy activations at the moment, and if we are receiving this energy and don't know what to do with it, it can translate into anxiety very quickly, which is something I was experiencing on Saturday. And she was saying that she had this vision of the angels giving us all bars of gold, and us being like, what do I do with this? Can I eat it? Can I spend it? And I had been given a really large currency denomination note by someone recently. And at first I was like, oh my God, this is such a marker of abundance. And then I realised most of the places that I could spend this won't accept this note because it's too large and they're afraid of it being counterfeit. And there's something in that. Like, we want and we are manifesting abundance, but we have limitations once we receive it. And this is what this feels like. We have huge energy activations coming in right now. And this is the true abundance. Energy at that frequency, 144,000 and above. Pure light. Light of consciousness. Like, this is actually what abundance is. When we receive this love, when we can share it with the world, it can feel like we don't know what to do with it because our nervous systems have been so limited for so long, and we've learned to believe we're not worth it. So as we are expanding, when these frequencies come in, they vibrate things out of our field that are at lower frequencies because they can't stay. So we have to sit with what it is that is moving through us and allow it to move. And this is where all our tools around nervous system regulation, which is not about getting into homeostasis, that's the end result. But nervous system regulation means that your nervous system can respond and adapt and be with whatever comes up and get back to regulation eventually and move in and out of regulation more and more. So breath work, dance, somatic release, journaling, music, movement, she said kickboxing, whatever it is that for you brings you back into your body, into groundedness, into presence, into the stillness of the present moment. Do it. because this energy comes to us so that we can share it. And as we bring ourselves into this state of, like I say, back into the heart frequency, we then get guided. We follow our intuition, we follow our compass, our compassion, to where we're being guided to share that. Like, where are you being called to take your energy, to share it, to create abundance? There's so much going on in the world right now, and it is so easy to get overwhelmed and stressed and fearful and think, oh my God, I have to do something. Like, that urgency of the hyper-capitalist colonial construct is part of the construct. And coming back to the presence of the present moment and that stillness allows us to hear our soul calling us, each individual soul fragment, to go where we are being called, where we can be of use. We could look at the world and start logically trying to figure out where should I go and what should I do, but that isn't going to help us do what our soul actually is capable of. The energy itself that comes to us wants to go places. All we need to do is listen to it and let it guide us where we need to go. Today I was guided to do this, so I'm doing what I'm told. The Pearl, Alchemy. The reward at the end, from grit to grace, 2555. I really feel like this point in the collective ascension is very much that. A lot of us have been practicing this alchemical process for so long that we have really gotten to the grit at the center of the pearl. And as much as we place value on pearls in our modern world, to me what it's been really representing is the calcification around particular wounds. And I got to a core wound. I've gotten to a few, but I got to a core wound recently that once I got to it, I realized how it had changed the course of my life. And it had led me into a self-rejection timeline. And as I got back to that grit and I really actually bore witness to it, it changed. And I got back to self-acceptance. I got back to being able to be in my heart space. And I feel like a lot of us have reached that point now, because once we're in our heart space, we give other people permission to come back into theirs. The most important step in alchemy is recognizing that we deserve to be loved by us first and foremost. I deserve to be in my heart space more than anybody else, because I have to be in here in order to bring anybody else in. My heart had been colonized. I had been taught I don't belong to be in here unless, I don't have a right to be in here unless I'm given permission by other people. Like, that is the definition of codependence. I'll love you so that you'll love me. But actually loving ourselves and continuing to come back to loving ourselves and receiving that divine love is what allows us to fill our cup in a way that it overflows. We don't give from a place of lack, we give from a place of overflow and plenty. And that is what starts to change the paradigm. You are an anomaly. If you're watching this, you are an anomaly. Most people are not where you are. Most people did not come here to do what you came here to do. I mean, nobody came here to do exactly what you came here to do, but a lot of people, a lot of souls are not ready to awaken, and they will not in this lifetime. And it's not up to us to try to change that. We have no right to change another soul's karmic path or dharmic path. But we do have a right to claim our own sovereignty, our uniqueness, and in fact it's exactly why we're here, and it is time to embrace this difference. For so long this construct has taught us that deviation from the norm will be punished unless it can be exploited, and it is time to recognize that deviation from the norm is the very thing that is going to change the fact that we have a norm. We are shattering this consensus reality idea. There isn't a consensus reality, but the idea that there is what has been trapping us, and why people have felt so punished for not being able to fit it. And that's why neurodivergence is on the rise, because people were recognizing we don't fucking fit with this, but we didn't come here to fit. We came here to break the system. We didn't come here to play the game. We came here to destroy it, break it open, and do something completely different. So embrace your anomalous nature. Waterproof. This one I really liked, because I get this sense that we can be with emotions without drowning in them. We have waterproofing on our wings. We can still fly when it's raining. And this ability to be with what is without being bogged down by it, without being limited by it, is what I was saying about being in this 144,000 frequency, this heart space. 144,000 and above, that's just the threshold, but we can go much, much higher than that too. And at times we have experienced that. Anytime where you're in that state of pure compassion and a sense of oneness with all that is, that's that frequency and beyond. You just got Buzz Lightyear to infinity and beyond. So remember, you are waterproof. Nothing can actually take you down unless you believe that it can. And you can shake your wings off. You can I'm not sure if it's crows, but I know there are some birds that actually apply waterproofing with, I don't know if it's something else that they produce. I'm just getting a flash to something, but I can't remember. I think it's an Australian bird. I'm going to have to look that up later. And if anybody knows in the comments, please let me know. Deep sea diving, way of the mystic, learn through experiencing and depths. This is what you've been doing. This is why you're ready to step out, because you are able to show other people how this works. You have delved to the depths, and actually, and I'm getting the waterproof and this go together, because you always come back out and just shake the water off and you're ready to go again. Like, you're capable of true alchemy, and we need people to show those who are just starting to wake up and are just starting on their paths and are feeling quite lost, to spread the awareness of there is so much possibility for change. We keep getting taught that these things are forever locked into our systems and, you know, constructs. Even like the body keeps the score. Yes, it does. But the point is that we are able to transmute that. And I'm not saying that's Bessel van der Kolk wasn't saying we couldn't change it, but there is definitely an idea, it's quite prevalent, that that alchemy can't happen outside of a therapy room. And I don't believe that the Western system has all the answers, and never have. And, well, no, sorry, there was a while where I did when I was having therapy, and then later discovered that some of the therapy I had actually locked some things into me further and had not caught my CPTSD or my neurodivergence or my queerness, and it just taught me to better function in a dysfunctional society. And we are shattering the colonial construct now, so just trusting, as I say, your intuition, where you're being guided. You are an alchemist. You're capable of anything, and you're showing other people by embodying this for yourself that they are too. And that's really when we start making a change, because we're setting each other free. Influence. Again, I was directed to the bottom of the deck. We influence each other all the time. Our frequency is influencing the world around us. The higher we're vibrating, the more influence we're having, the wider it's spreading. I was having an experience Saturday night where I went out for the night, which I haven't done in a long time. And I could see other people around me who were in density, they were in lower frequencies, and I wasn't coming out of my heart space. I stayed where I was. And some people came to meet me there, and some people moved away from me. But I had some really beautiful experiences, just moments, fleeting moments, but they were enough, 3-2-2-2, of joy, true joy and connection with other people. And in the past, I would have had to get really drunk to get into that state, and I didn't need to do that because my heart space was the place that I was getting access to by drinking when I was younger anyway. So you are always influencing the frequency of the world around you. Never doubt your capacity to do that. And remember the power and the responsibility that that brings, because if that's why I was saying about getting into the heart space before we do anything else. If we're not in the heart space, that the frequency that we're in is what we're broadcasting and influencing the world around us with. If we're in the heart space and we're embodying that frequency, we're literally creating the 5D. That's how we do it. And real magic starts to happen when we meet someone else who's doing the same thing, and then multiple people, and then woof, 3-3-1-1, all sorts of magical shit starts to happen. Trust your instincts. And as well, this card really speaks to me of connection to nature. If you're struggling, the connection to nature is always a way back. We are nature. We're not separate to Mother Earth. We're not separate to nature. But we are often living in places where we are physically disconnected from the land, 3-3-3-3, the energetic field, the mycelial network. And if all else fails, or you can't do anything else, connect with a houseplant, connect with a tree, get out and get your bare feet on the grass, seawater if you can, get your feet in there, or even just sit beside a body of water and energetically connect. Your instincts are always available to you, but they can be overwhelmed when we are, like I say, in that fear frequency. So getting back into your heart space and listening to where you're being instinctually guided is the call. New chapter. This is it. This is the new chapter. New Earth is already here. We're already living in it. And we're writing new chapters of new books every single day. And I really love the imagery of this card, this portal. At any given moment, no matter where you are, no matter where we are, I'm always also talking to myself with these readings, and I watch them back as if I'm watching another person read. So to myself as well, when I watch this back, this portal 2, the present moment is always available. Anytime I'm feeling out of alignment, all I have to do is just come back to the stillness and just remember the portal is within, and as I go within, I exit out the other side into the new chapter. The Green Fairy, mischief, freedom, and reckless. I don't really resonate so much with the word reckless on this, although I was very much recently being guided to times where in the past I had been reckless, and I do think it's something to pay attention to. Like I'd said, I used to have to get drunk to get into the heart space, and it's a different way of embodying that kind of energy. I would also, as someone with ADHD, which at the time was undiagnosed, I was creating chaos in my life because my nervous system was wired to do exactly that, and I had to learn to be compassionate to myself for that. But at the same time, there is a place for mischief, freedom, to be childlike, to connect with the fairy realm, to embody that energy of childlike curiosity and wonder and play. And this is the new chapter. The way that we are being now in the world is something we've never experienced before. And I don't know about you, but anytime I have gotten into the true play experience, that's creativity. That's where things happen that I would never have predicted, because I couldn't have. They come from that energy, and the mind can't see that energy. The body can only experience it and put that out into the world. Communication. And I feel like she is listening to this wolf. Like, I'm really getting the call of the wild. And also, this is bringing me back to the book, The Pearl, because we had the Pearl card earlier, and the child in the book was called Coyotito, and that was something about the fact that this family had put this importance on a giant pearl that they had found, but because they tried to cling to that, they actually ended up losing the child. Sorry, spoiler alert if you haven't read the book, but we read this in first year of school, which I think was a lot, because it was a very, very graphic, horrifying ending to the story. But it was, I wanted to say anomaly, but I was actually thinking of analogy. Yeah, it's how this system has programmed us to believe that material wealth is what's going to give us the freedom that we want, but that's individualism, and that's what takes us out of this connection to the abundance of the all, and we are not here to have that kind of experience anymore. We are moving into the light. Sanat Kumara. Light activation. Shine your light. Your internal guidance is coming through loud and clear, and that's just further confirmation of what I was saying. This internal compass is the guide, and you already know where you're going and what you need to do. You just need to trust it and follow it. Parrot wax cap, isolation. I want to read this one from the book as well, because when I pulled it, it was near the beginning of the spread, and I was interested that it came out at the end. But it felt like this was the energy that we've been in and we're moving out of. And I feel like this card is just going to expand on that. The parrot wax cap likes to be left alone. And it's easy to understand why. Left untouched by pollution, noise, and people, it grows well. So can you if you are left to your own devices. You are capable of growth without all the things. What you thought you needed to survive might not actually be necessary. You would be surprised how little you really need at all. Sometimes stripping your life down to the bare necessities can show you how you have been living way beyond your means. Isolation can also be a good thing to clear your mind and strip yourself down to basics. I suspect you've probably already been doing this. This is, like I said, what I've been doing, and it was necessary to pull these things out of my field in order to just be with what was within, and then the internal guides started to come through loud and clear. So if this isn't already where you've been, this may be where you're headed, or what you're being called to, but I would be surprised if you're watching this if you haven't already been going through this. And it is a periodic necessity to go within, but I think it's going to be becoming a bit more habitual to have periods of that in a day, in a week, in a month, and to be back out in the world around us. Obviously, each to your own. Whenever you're being guided to do it, you do it, but I think this is something we are coming out of right now. You will be able to hear your own thoughts again without the constant bombardment of sound, people, and energy. When you need peace in your life, sometimes you need to extricate yourself from the situation. And sometimes that's necessary when you're in a space where you feel yourself being pulled out of your frequency, because if you get pulled down into the muck with other people, you're no longer holding the frequency of 144,000 and above. You're actually contributing to the other frequency. So sometimes the best thing you can do is leave and get back into your own energy, and then, as I say, get back to being guided by your own intuition about what you need to do. Finding peace is so much easier when you have isolated yourself and attend to what you really need. You should be attended. Sometimes peace and simplicity bring the greatest rewards. If, on the other hand, you are feeling isolated and not in a good place, ask yourself, what do I need? What is it that really sustains me and makes me happy? It's time to ask the tough questions and really get real about it. Only you know what can make you happy, and it has to come from inside. Addictions are often fueled by unhappiness. When you find something that makes your heart sing and makes you feel alive, you tend not to need your vices as often, and I wholeheartedly resonate with that. That's something I've been working through, and realising my dependencies were leading me to stay in this isolation, and what I actually needed was to be with what it was that I was afraid to see within myself and witness within myself, so that I could trust that I needed to step out again, that I was ready. And a lot of it was wounding around connection with other people. So there's no shame, there's no judgment, there is no judgment in my field. All I hold is compassion. If any of this is bringing anything up for you, I just want you to know this isn't judgment. You're not being told to do anything. You're being loved wholeheartedly and unconditionally. And that is what actually changed it for me. I loved myself and I accepted everything. And even Ramdas said, do it until you don't want to do it anymore. Jessa Reed says the same thing, and she was addicted to meth. There is no progress from resisting something, because it's still resistance. Allowing it to show you what it is, doing it consciously, allowing yourself to see, why is it that I'm reaching for this? What is it that I hope to get by reaching for this? And then have the experience and then say, well, did I get what I was hoping for? The answer is usually no. And then allow yourself to recognize what it is that you need, and where you learned to use that mechanism to try to meet that need or avoid that need, and just have compassion for that as you allow yourself to recognize, okay, well, if I don't have a way to meet this need, or in fact, if I do have other ways to meet this need, but I keep going back to this because it's a habit, can I try other things? What can I try? And ask the internal guidance. Ask for a sign, but like, sit and meditate. Just sit quietly, or even just say, what do I need to do? Higher self, what do I need to do instead? Wait for a flash of a vision or a thought or a feeling or a smell or anything, or like, what do you reach for? Where do you feel guided? Allow your body to take over and guide you somewhere, and just trust you'll be taken exactly where you need to go. Okay, we're down to the last two cards. Perfect. Again, quoting Ramdas. We have the Awaken card, and that is one wide open third eye, and Mahavatar Babaji, Soul Expansion. Your consciousness is expanding, you understand the connection between all things, and if that isn't a visual representation of that state, I don't know what is. You already know everything you need to know. You have all the tools you need. You have all the skills, the gifts, the abilities, and you are learning to trust you more and more with every single experience. Every time you trust yourself, you deepen your trust in yourself. Every time you trust your guidance, your guides, your higher self, the divine, you deepen that. And then this fear and uncertainty just shrinks, because there's no need for it. Because trust is what we were really seeking when we were trying to make the world outside of us predictable. So I believe in you. You've got this. I don't even feel like I need to pull tarot, because that was more than enough cards, and this is a very long reading as it is. This was a real honour to read. I'm so excited to see where this year takes us. As challenging as it is, we came for these massive waves. We came for the big surf. That's why we're here. And I know if you're watching this and you resonate with this, you're going to do and are already doing incredible things. And I'm just grateful to be along to witness that and to be part of it. And I'm really, really excited for where we're heading and for this fifth dimensional humanity that we are building together, this new earth. Okay. Yeah, if you want to book a personal reading with me, information is in the description box below or the comments below. But otherwise, I'm just sending you lots of love and light. I believe in you, and I will see you on the next one. I'll be back.